Hey everybody, welcome in. If you're just joining, we're about to dig into some truths that many people don't like to talk about. We're going to challenge the idea that the United States was founded on Christian principles. And trust me, it's going to get uncomfortable, but in a way that makes you think, really think. So I want you all to feel free to drop your comments, questions, whatever's on your mind. Let's make this a conversation, not just a lecture. Share this live if you think your friends are ready to confront some history that isn't neatly wrapped in Sunday school stories. Now, let's start at the beginning, the founding era itself. Many people point to phrases like, "In God we trust," or the idea that the founding fathers were Christians as proof that this country was birthed on Christian principles. But here's the thing, the historical record says otherwise. Very few of the major founders were Orthodox Christians in the sense that most people today would define it. Men like Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, they were more influenced by Enlightenment thinking, reason, and yes, often critical of organized religion itself. Take Jefferson, for example. He famously created his own version of the Bible, cutting out miracles, the resurrection, basically anything supernatural. That's not a Christian principle, it's selective, rationalist philosophy. And yet, we celebrate him as a Christian founding father. Pause for a moment, let that sink in. That's the type of hypocrisy I'm talking about. And hey, I see a bunch of new people joining in. Welcome in, welcome in. Glad you're here. Stick around, comment, and let me know your thoughts. Are we really a Christian nation? That's what we're digging into today. Now, let's talk about the glaring contradictions. The Christian principles people often point to are love your neighbor, care for the poor, do justice, forgive. But the early United States, land theft, slavery, genocide of indigenous people. If you want to find real examples of breaking Christian moral principles, look no further than the creation of this country itself. The founders were inventing a country based on freedom and liberty, but only for some. Slavery was not just legal, it was integral to the economy. Native Americans were forcibly removed from their lands. And yet, today, people still say America was founded on Christian principles. Pause. Think about that. Slavery, genocide, oppression, how is that a Christian principle? And let me be clear, I'm not here to bash Christianity. I'm here to call out the historical narrative that's used to claim moral superiority for a country that, at its birth, systematically violated the principles it now pretends to champion. Drop a comment if you see what I mean. Are we really living in the land of Christian principles? Or is that just a convenient story we tell ourselves to ignore inconvenient truths? Let's move to the Constitution, because this is where a lot of people get tripped up. The First Amendment says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That's separation of church and state. That's not a Christian principle, it's protection from religion being imposed. Many people twist this, claiming it's evidence that America was founded as a Christian nation. But notice, the founders didn't say, Congress shall make no law respecting a Christian establishment of religion. They deliberately left it secular because they didn't want religious authority dictating government. That's huge. Jefferson even called it a wall of separation between church and state. Pause for a moment, think about that. A wall, not a bridge, not an invitation. They wanted government independent from religion, far from what most people mean by Christian principles. And for anyone just joining, welcome in again. We're tearing apart the myth of Christian America, looking at the contradictions in history and law. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think this is true, or are we missing something? Let's fast forward to how the idea of a Christian America has been used politically. Over centuries, leaders have invoked Christian values while ignoring justice and mercy, like the very principles they claim to follow. Think of segregation, the denial of civil rights, opposition to the poor and marginalized, all justified under the guise of moral authority. That's hypocrisy. Christianity, at least in its core moral teachings, says to love the stranger, feed the hungry, clothe the naked. Yet, time and again, American institutions use religion selectively, cherry-picking scripture to justify slavery, war, and discrimination. Pause. Reflect on that. The hypocrisy is not small, it's systemic. and I see a ton of new folks joining in. Welcome in. Drop a comment if you've noticed this contradiction in your own understanding of history or in the news today. I want to hear your thoughts. So why do I bring this up? Why do I challenge the idea that America is a Christian nation? Because if we cling to that myth, we excuse injustice, we justify inequality, and we fail to reckon with history. I grew up seeing the contradictions, how religion was invoked for power, not morality. That's why I dig into this topic, not just as history, but as a lens to examine our present. And think about it. If we truly followed Christian principles, this country would have abolished slavery centuries earlier, treated indigenous nations as equals, and cared for the vulnerable as a priority. Instead, we see policies and practices that contradict the very moral code that's claimed as our foundation. I want you to comment. How does this challenge your understanding? Are you shocked? Are you thinking, maybe I've been told a story that isn't fully true? Let's hear from you. So, friends, let's wrap up for today. We've questioned the claim that the United States was founded on Christian principles, looked at historical facts, laws, moral contradictions, and systemic hypocrisy. I hope this gives you a new lens to view history, not to attack faith, but to attack false narratives that are used to excuse injustice. Keep commenting, keep sharing, keep asking questions. History is messy, morality is complicated, but truth is worth confronting. And if you're new here, welcome in. Make sure to follow for more discussions like this, where we challenge myths and dig into the real story behind America's founding. Thank you for being here, for listening, for questioning, and for thinking critically. This is only the beginning of the conversation, and I can't wait to continue it with all of you.